Call to order. We'd like to introduce people that are here, starting with Sharon.
Sharon Pulsar, I'm the engineering representative.
Greg Flum, architect.
Lois Lee, electrician.
Philip Isaacson, energy professional.
Bruce Allery, city service, the building inspector.
Tim Hargrave, Cochise County Building Inspector.
Dan Miller, building inspector.
Paul Esparza, Building Official.
Mike Rutherford, chair. By default. Approval of previous minutes.
I'll move to approve the previous minutes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Discussion and possible recommendation regarding adoption of, this is 40-year, for a 40-year-old also.
Most was just saying
New
that.
building codes and proposed local building code amendments under 2023 National Electric Code, 2024 International Building Code, and 2012 International Energy Conservation Code.
All right. So with that, I just wanted to give you a little background. So when we last met, as you guys met as the Building Code Advisory Board, we were presenting to you the significant changes, and I realize there's a lot more, but we try to hit on the more significant ones. So we did review that during that meeting. Kind of the charge back to staff was, let's go ahead and have you guys work on what the proposed local amendments will be as we consider moving to the 24 I codes, 23 NEC. So staff has been kind of meeting regularly. I've asked the inspectors, we've sat down and we've reviewed what the amendments were when we adopted the 15 code. And we were determining, okay, there's some of those that are still applicable as we move forward to the new codes. We also looked at, and again, with Jonathan, he was involved in this joint code committee, City of Tucson and Pima County. So they went through this process probably about 1.5 years long, and they basically went through each of the individual codes. So we had an opportunity to look at those proposed code amendments to figure out, okay, what would be applicable for Cochise County. So what we're going to go through is we're going to go through and basically just walk you through. We'll try to do that, and please ask questions. And I know some of you I'll lean on a little bit, as far as, let me just minimize that. Because of your past experience like Mo's with the electrical, and we got Philip who looked at the energy code, but we're going to start off with the International Building Code. And can everyone online, can you hear me, Bob, okay, and Mark?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, thank you. So we'll start with this. We'll start with the International Building Code. I'll try not to go through every single item. I do kind of have some notations. I didn't basically say, well, this is what we had. If you're curious, I might mention, hey, we picked up this one. But as far as the international, now, are there any questions before I get started? Okay. So as you can see up here, so obviously there's certain ones that obviously we just have to go in and add, we're Cochise County, Arizona, City of Sierra Vista, whatever jurisdiction obviously would apply. So what we did is I'm going to go through here and I'm going to tell you which ones. This one, we actually, this is the new section. And again, we looked at this from the joint committee. And so we brought this one in. And again, I'll kind of go through it. Now, please stop if you guys have any particular questions about what you're seeing. I may not read everything verbatim, but I just wanted to point out, this is the new section that was added. So again, I'll field any questions, and we've got you know, those that were, when we sat down, we have staff here that can certainly answer something that maybe I don't remember. And Bob's online as well. So feel free to ask any questions about what you're seeing on the screen. As you move up here, there are obviously by code certain work that can be done without the benefit of a permit. So again, we did take this list and we looked at what was presented by the joint committee. So we feel like these are all reasonable, that, you know, you could proceed without having to get a building permit. So it's kind of broken down by building. And I know some of these like this, I mean, this is probably pretty obvious right here. That didn't exist before, but a lot of times we do get work, you know, United States government or the state of Arizona where they could exempt themselves from a permit. A lot of times they will sometimes voluntarily submit for a permit, and we're happy to review that. But they could exercise, which they told us, hey, we're government, right? So we're not gonna submit. So again, and we probably have seen some of that for like some of the government work, you know, on the border wall and stuff like that. So that one was that. We picked that up from the joint committee as well.
You're exempting decks?
No, I was talking about number 14. I'm sorry, I should have called.
Okay.
I should have called out. Yeah, I should have called out number 14 here. So
I'm looking at number 7. Are you exempting decks from permitting?
well, if they are under, so we're actually raising that. So you're looking at revised item number 6 by deleting the fragment sidewalks and driveways and replacing it with decks and non-structural flat work. And of course, but we know if a deck is still more than 30 inches above grade, right, or if it has, you know, more than 4 risers, we'll still have to have a rail on it. So basically, there's still those in place, and we would still require. It's just like it's saying if it's a deck that would fall below those thresholds, then it wouldn't require. And also, this will match, because normally in the residential code, you can go up to 200 square feet, right? Before it was so it's 120 in the IBC, so this will match what the residential is. But again, with decks, if they still meet certain thresholds, they'll have to be permitted.
So just so I'm clear, so anything under 200 square feet, that's a deck.
Yeah, deck, or they call it for structural and non-structural flat work. And I guess they're referring to some sort of like a concrete slab, if you will. But
Anything less than 30 inches tall, right?
yeah, less than 30, yeah. So if it's less than 30 inches tall. Because normally we would require like a deck permit, regardless of, even if it were less than 200, if it was more than 30 inches above grade, because we'd have to make sure it has a railing on it, right? Like a 36-inch railing. So that's
clarified elsewhere.
Yeah, it's clarified, yeah.
But you also have to ensure that they're using the proper lumber when you're so close to grade. It's gotta be.
Yeah, it's got to be treated, right?
It's gotta be treated lumber, so.
That's true.
Well, I should probably know, but the one revising item number 9, changing it from 24 inches to 18, what is that about?
So let me move up here, right? Are we talking now on this one here?
No.
No, it was bad.
It's under, that's number 7.
Oh, number 7, okay.
One right there, the fourth thing down.
Right where your pointer is to the left and up there.
That's by state statute. That's talking about like a swimming pool or a body of water, right?
Oh. okay.
So because it was 24, but the state has now defined that as 18 inches or deeper. So that basically that's in line with the state statute. Okay, so thank you for that and bringing that one up. Yeah.
So going back to decks, we should probably strike out decks and just say non-structural flat work, huh? Because like Bruce was saying, if you're less than a certain,
The structural members are gonna have to be treated. And you're gonna have people going out and buying whatever they feel like, put it together. And it's gonna rot out on them.
So yeah, I mean, this is the time. I mean, if you guys want to I'll start making notations on that. Do we just want to just say non-structural flat work?
I don't, hey, Paul,
Yeah,
I would stay away from that structural word unless you're gonna provide a definition for it. Personally, because, what if the deck's 15 feet off the ground? Is that all right? I mean, it still doesn't need a permit?
well, yeah, see, that would exceed the height, so maybe it is best to just delete that. And now, and I believe the structural flat work is actually found, we could probably find that in the IRC.
Non-structural.
Yeah, non-structural, right? Okay, so I'll strike decks then on that.
I would stay away from the exempting decks in general. Because you can, and the code is recently in the last couple code cycles has done a really pretty good job of providing prescriptive methods for decks that you can actually use, tables and things.
Okay. All right, noted, so.
And on number 14 here,
Mm-hmm.
it gets real sticky with the state of Arizona on the schools, on the higher education schools. And it's not a big deal, but I've ran across this a couple, 3 times. I think Bruce and I did too once at the city.
Yeah.
If the state is building a school or remodeling a school, a state school, i.e. a university or college, and they're doing it on their property, then they don't, by state statute, and I'm making it short here, the explanation, they don't have to comply with the building permit on a local level, okay?
Yeah.
But if they're doing that same work and it's doing on rented or leased land, they do have to have a permit.
So is
Now-
that language a little fuzzy in the ownership then?
Well, it's fuzzy if you, for instance, at Bruce, what's the school there in town there that has several permits?
Talking about Cochise College when they took over the old hospital?
Yeah, Cochise College. Part of that, go ahead.
Yeah, I know. Initially, we were invited to do inspections for Cochise College, and then somebody hiccuped and said, no, you can't. So we, invited or not, we could not do inspections. And the unfortunate thing is that the last time I was at Cochise College when I was teaching, self-certification did not work well. When you gotta do this to use the urinal, there's something wrong.
All right, well,
Right.
I don't want to open up a can of worms. I'm just saying there's a little more to it on the state of Arizona's part than meets the eye.
Okay. Okay, well, I'll put an asterisk there so we can just revisit that language, okay? So, all right, we'll keep going here, but. All right, so there's some 15 through 19 are still under building. So again, if there's anything you see there that, and again, from the joint committee, this is coming from the joint committee, so.
Well, on number 15, if you have an amusement structure, could have 100, 200 people in it, a big tent, but they're only going to run less than 30 days. That's exempt, huh? So we don't know what's going on in there. We don't know how they're doing it. We don't know about the fire. We don't know anything.
Well, look at number 17 does talk about tents.
I know the Chamberlain Fire does get involved with those.
Okay, so they're good up to 400 square feet. 700 square feet. Okay, well, I would assume the big city, the joint committee would have not come up with something like that, but that's all right. That's what they did.
All right, I'll go up here. So here's under, exempt under the electrical section. So see what you think of that.
I guess number one mean that it would be connected to a on-site generation device.
Which is usually the case, right? I mean, for a,
Yeah, usually, yes.
hey, Billy, right there.
That's the penalty.
That's the
I'll do good thing.
I'll try not to smile.
Number 5 under electrical. Interpretation. Those exempting devices used in manufacturing, processing, or fabricating, they can fabricate a lot of stuff. I'm just saying, that's pretty open on that one.
Yeah, I mean, now's the time. If you feel like that should be struck, now's the time.
I would recommend that. That's just-
I mean, it depends on the type of manufacturing, but, you can have welding, you can have plasma cutting tables, you can have all kinds of equipment in there that's,
Yeah, that's pretty open-ended.
Yeah.
I think that's, I'd recommend scratch.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, done. No. Okay, there's one, I think, under mechanical, so.
Depends on how old that cooler is and what the disconnect means is. You want to be able to provide a good disconnect means. Just something to think about. 'Cause some of the really old coolers, well, how many last that long? But
That's like that for your privilege, yeah.
But yeah, you've got to have a good disconnect. Matter of fact, for the first time in, I don't know how many years, I did a cooler replacement the other day. So, just spitballing.
I'm gonna answer some of that one as well. Okay. Number 9 and 10 are new, so that's probably more administrative as far as, time limitation of application. So that, 9 and 10 are obviously something we picked up. So,
Can you expand on that a little bit? What is that referring to, Paul?
so basically the application process. So it's basically going from, you can see what it's going, the 180 to the 365 and from the 90 to the 180. And, for different reasons, sometimes, depending on the permit, right, commercial, sometimes we find that, they may need more time to even submit some of the items and once it goes under review, right? So, I think there's probably good examples like under commercial permits where we've encountered that. And then it talks about the expiration of permits as well, right, on that number 10.
Would this apply to the floodplain permits as well?
No, this will be building permits, but those will be separate, yeah. Any like health permits, floodplain permit, this is really to the building permit itself, so. Right.
That seems like a really big window to me.
Yeah.
but- Agreed. I gotta wait a year to get an application reviewed. That doesn't work well.
No, I don't think that's what it means. I think that they're saying in the process, instead of expiring at 180 days, it's going to expire at a year. So you're going to get another half a year to do what you need to do. Which, from the standpoint of, from our side of things, what happens when we're in the middle of a code change? That's always fun.
Yeah.
So if it was approved under the old code, I mean, you're not gonna make
Generally.
a change in the middle of it.
No, well, yeah, not in the middle, but It depends on where they're at in the process. We've had projects that linger and they're not, they were never far enough into the process.
Like that hotel number.
And I've never had any issues with the turnaround time from the building department, but there's other departments that I feel would take this and use to the very last day to reply on. Experienced it over and over.
Hear what you're saying.
All right, the permit valuation, basically we base the valuations on the ICC valuation data. So, we plug in, if you say your product's $1 million, then it's going to spit out, right, what the permit fees are based on that table. I think that's pretty common with most jurisdictions, right, Bruce? I'm sure you guys do the same thing, kind of, or?
I want to say that I think that we've arrested that a few times and held it stagnant to better serve the building community.
Yeah. Because I think they publish twice a year, and honestly,
they do.
and we haven't jumped every time. Again, being
Right.
kind of thinking
we're
about,
So we're gonna tie it to the valuation.
yeah. And I think it's really based on really at the discretion of the jurisdiction. I mean,
Right.
just because they publish twice a year doesn't mean you have to increase those valuations twice a year, right? So, and I think probably most are being sensitive to, the conditions and everything else, economic conditions, right? But that's how we do it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, 'cause generally I'll get queries like, hey, if my project is this much, can you tell me what the permit fees look like? So we can let them know right away. So, all right. It looks like number 13 was new, so delete this section and renumber the remaining sections for energy efficiency inspections, because there's a lot, and we'll actually when we get to the energy conservation code, we can talk a little. I'm sure we're going to hear from Philip too, some of the stuff that he looked at as well. Number 14 is new as well. I think it's probably worth stating this. There's a lot of assumptions about I need temporary power, and they don't realize. I mean, I think it is a privilege, right? That sometimes we have to be very cautious. We get requests for temporary power on a vacant parcel for like an RV, and we're like, no. I mean, you got to have a dwelling. A dwelling has to be present. So again, we thought that language is, and of course we'll look at requests on a case by case, but I do think it is. I think this is worth stating. Number 14. All right, and then you can see at the bottom there, again, the swimming pool thing, revising from 24 to 18 based on state statute. Here, let's see. So number 15, that was already in place. Number 16, number 17 is in place. There's something in here I'll talk about when we get to the residential, or I could bring it up now, but as you can see here, I know the 24 says that we require type X gypsum board, but I guess by code it's really only half an inch, right? Unless you have living space like above a garage, right? But generally we have for years been asking for type X gypsum board, and the code really calls for half inch. So my thought is, look, most of the builders are accustomed to that. I didn't think we would change that. I don't know what the thoughts are on that. We can talk more when we get to the residential, but just think about that. Looks like number 18 is new there through penetrations, and the guys can help me if anyone has a question about that, but I think we were.
So they took away the requirements for the rated separation of dwelling units, of dwelling units?
Well, it looks like, so what we're doing, we're going from a half inch to 5/8, right? And we've been that way. But the code is basically saying only where, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, normally if you had living space above the garage, that lid would have to be 5/8, right? Now we require the whole garage has to be 5/8 type X.
So it's really increasing the requirement.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Basic code says half inch.
my memory's telling you an hour assembly anyway. Obviously, I'm mistaken.
Right, half inch can be a one assembly. County and city has no way, but don't say county.
Well, I can't
fire 5/8.
I think we're already there. Just
Yeah.
step it in. Let's-
Yeah, exactly. And we think it's in the interest of safety, right? I mean, so I don't
Yeah,
think
no.
I don't think we should digress on that. I think we
No,
should
I
maintain.
That makes a difference. Yeah, I know, what I'm saying is, I didn't realize that they had lowered it. You can do I thought the code said 5/8, or, a 1 hour assembly,
Now,
a 1 hour assembly is 5/8, 5/8. Well, maybe with metal, but most of the assemblies that we see.
but I think what the, this code says is 1 hour separation.
Unfortunately,
And
I'm coming,
you can do that many different ways,
right, and I'm coming in a little bit late on this, so. Very late, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
I was told yesterday.
Okay. All right. Okay, so it looks like 19, 20, 21, 22, those have existed. We did add, I think starting here with the termination of wind loads, this was taken from the joint committee. And you can see uplift resistance. These are things that were not, I mean, in talking to our guys, they felt like a lot of this does make sense. So I'll hear from anyone that wants to comment on this. Obviously and I think they are addressing specifically microbursts, which, the area is very capable of having those wind effects, right? So all of this is basically picked up as new. So, I'll be curious. I know at some point, probably next month, we're going to have a home builders meeting, and we'll present. I mean, I think it'll be an opportunity for the home builders. We don't want to blindside anybody. We just want to be upfront and say, look, this is what is going to be in the amendment. So, but this would be just like with Sierra Vista, unless they change, but this is coming from the joint committee. So we feel like there is merit to what's being proposed in this. So I don't know if there's any thoughts on any of this right now, or
Category 3 and 4, both of them are 120 mile an hour. Shouldn't 4 be 120 plus?
let me go back down here, right? Yeah, and this is the way the table, this needs some tweaking. This is the way it came to, but you're right. It's showing 120 for 3 and then it's still 120 for, so that may need, we'll look at those numbers, Mike, because I think yeah. And one thing too that we've, I noticed the new wind speed tables show our region at 105. We've been at 115 and we're going to hold to that. I think I know that if you look at the tables, but I think just because we have been at 115 for many years that we would hold that. And I can't imagine if anybody would dispute or have an issue with that. So, okay.
My only issue is
I am, Mike.
if they're both 3 and 4 are the same, what are you going to require, 3 or 4?
Okay, good point. So maybe there was just a typo on that.
What kind of wind exposure we have for the structure. So category 3 and 4 wouldn't be that much different. One is like a open field, one is under the mountain. Wind speed measured in those areas.
No, I think you're getting it mixed up with see, this is the risk category. This is what the building is for. Your higher risk category are your police stations, your hospitals. You need them built to a higher standard so that they can withstand, any natural disasters. So you're getting confused with the exposure,
Right.
which here we're C, here Vista C.
Right.
Yeah, but, yeah.
Okay, all right, yeah, I'll make a note here just to check those numbers on those risk categories too. All right, so let's keep going here. So I think that'll bring us down. We did add, I think 24 is new, based on, yeah, flood hazard. We just, we're adding basically Cochise County as the jurisdiction, right? So that's what we're sticking in there. Keep going here. Again, number 25, I think that was also an addition.
Page 6.
Page, yeah, thank you, yeah, page 6, sorry. Okay. Losing track of the page numbers here, okay. And then you can see down there, on the bottom page 6, the wind uplift. So there was,
I was just trying to skim through these.
skim through those and see what you can.
Kind of jumped up.
Okay. And then it looks like that last one there. So swimming pools, again, making mention of, ARS, administrative code, and then we even had that link there. So under ARS 3616.81, it does talk about barrier requirements for pools, and it defines what a swimming pool is. So we thought it might be good to have that link there, so someone, if they're actually wanting to see what the statute, how it reads, it is there.
I still don't
Okay,
know I don't know what a semi-public pool is. Because in the pool code, you have public and you have residential, not public pools. I don't know
Think
what
about
it's-
think about the common area in a group of townhomes, Bob. I think that's what is considered semi-public.
Yeah, but it says semi-public pools, spas, and hot tubs. We're not talking about common area per se, but if that's what you think, that's what that means?
I think that's what they're referring to, like, if you're living in a townhome development and they've got a pool for those tenants and owners, that's your semi-public. It's not open to the general public.
So what rules would you apply to? Would you take out of the pool
The
code?
same rules that you would apply to a public pool.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I'm reading here.
All right. Yeah, because they're not talking about anything but public and semi-public.
All right, so that would be the proposed local amendments for the IBC. So any further discussion on that?
Just refresh me on the appendices E, G, I, and K.
And if someone doesn't mind grabbing, that's why I brought the book. There's the IBC right there. And sorry, I didn't label. We just did it by letter, and I believe we did not change that, guys, right? From
No,
what we had before, yeah. And those should be.
Got it, okay.
Okay. All right. So let's now, we'll move to the IRC. proposed local amendments. So up here is basically just identifying the jurisdiction, the agency that administers, Cochise County Development Services. But so here is the work exempt from permit for an IRC permit. Again, a lot of this we had in place. Now, you're going to probably say, why are the numbers? Because obviously, like 3 and 4 weren't touched, right? So that's why the numbers are in kind of a sequential order. But if you want to take a look and see what you think of that, a lot of these were existed. I just think like number 7, I had to adjust to the 18 inches as opposed to the 24 inches, right? So based on statute.
So we're looking at Sierra Vista adopting the same stuff here. Because we're looking at 6 feet, not 7.
Yeah, so we go up, we go up to 7, without any sort of, okay. Now, we do have a few exceptions. You can see that if it's on a corner lot, we require an informational permit. If it's in a FEMA designated floodplain, it's got to have weep holes or whatever. So there are, we try to make sure that there is a couple of disclaimers on that. So
So let me ask you on that. So the FEMA floodplain, most of the county is a zone X, a good portion of it. Is that still considered a floodplain?
for
After 100-year.
And I think what our floodplain division would look at, what are the flows? Because if let's say you put up a block wall, they still may want weep holes, right? Because they don't want to impede any flow. Normally this would likely get routed and they would look at it. As a matter of fact, we have a current situation, long story short, that someone was required to put up a wall to abate some dust. Well, floodplain just came back and said it has to be elevated 3 feet. How do you abate dust when you have a 3-foot gap? So, I mean, believe me, that's a real situation right now that we have going on that we're going to have to figure out. But anyway. Yeah.
Common sense and the code. Yeah, never go together.
All right, so, let me just move up here. So that's under building, but here's one under.
Can you go back, Paul? Can you go back?
Sure.
For a minute? Hold on, right there. I was reading the window one. Is there one that mentions windows? I thought there was.
Yeah, 14, Bob.
Okay, still
And I
needs.
think, well, I think we amended the language to make sure that it still meets emergency exit requirements, right? Yeah.
The only
Yeah, I
thing
remember-
think of that might be an issue there is if they're replacing safety glass with non-safety, like around a spa or a pool or a door.
Okay, so that's where.
Is that, yeah, maybe
That was in the IDC.
Or would it make sense to maybe add any glazing requirements or anything like that?
Well, that's the thing too, is on the energy code, there's the requirements for U-factor, fenestration, all that. Are we just letting homes that have existing windows get ripped out and put in windows that don't meet code?
That's true. So,
single pane.
As much as I'd hate to get a permit to replace my window, at the same time, if you're looking at the intent, something to think about.
okay, I'll put a little asterisk by that one as well. Okay.
Number 17
Sorry. Okay.
of,
All right. Go ahead, Bob.
well, when I get a remodel thing, if I don't have a floor plan with all of the walls, a demo plan and a new plan, that's what I need those plans for. Because you can goof up the exiting really bad. I don't care if they're structural, non-structural. Interior wall partitions are not the qualifying thing for it being an element of the of the exiting system. So, the no utilities is one thing. That could be the least of your problem. I know we can't bulletproof any of these things here. I don't know, but you might want to add 17 that maintains something about the, exiting requirement.
How about if you just get rid of installation and just say removal of non-structural interior walls, partitions? So utilities are involved.
There you go.
Negatively impact by removing the wall barrier. But I've never seen a wall that didn't have at least a switch or an outlet in it, so I don't know that this, really applies anyway.
Well, in the IRC, we've only got the requirement for one exit. So as long as we don't
Yeah.
build a wall that encloses a room with no door,
Yeah.
then we should be okay.
Not even a travel distance.
No, there's no travel distance, it's just the one exit requirement.
Well, you know what, Bruce, your point is well taken, but here's the crux of the issue. We're not going to know either way because this is exempt. Okay, so we don't know unless we're there for some other reason. We're not going to know whether the exiting has been impacted or not. Because we theoretically,
We get a bunch of them. We get a bunch of hard types, and we'll know because the guys tell me, "Hey, you know what they're doing over here?" I'm like, "Let me go look at it. See what's going on."
I've got one thing on number 15. Replacing the existing appliances. What is the definition of appliances?
I don't know if we can define it, but I mean, yeah.
I believe there's one in the mechanical code, appliances and equipment, which is basically the same in the code.
So that entail a water heater, HVAC unit,
Ouch, yeah.
you know what I mean? It could be taken different ways. And I know this because I have contractors that tell me this.
Yeah.
Right, water heater, furnace, and appliance, right?
I guess for 15, you
If
would
you
have
want it
to
to
put it.
be.
If you want it to be, when I get caught, yeah, that's an appliance.
Frying pan.
S'mores.
And see, even in like your real estate contracts, a lot of them refer to those systems as appliances.
Wow.
So it's like, do you want to clarify it or just let it go? I know there's several contractors that do this under this clause. That's why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah, it probably needs to be worked on to ensure that they're not have more problems with water heaters than anything, so.
I think it would be probably easiest if you put an exclusion after that statement.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
Furnace excluding water heater.
okay. I'll make a note on that, okay. Okay. Let me,
We may want to look into, what about, I don't know, do you guys permit water softeners?
I mean,
Yeah.
typically, yeah, if someone asks, we'll tell them, yeah, get a permit, but how many are happening without a permit, right?
The majority.
That goes for water heaters and furnaces.
Yeah. All right. Okay, here's under the plumbing part of that, replacing like for like or repairing. Number 3 there, I don't know. Thanks.
There's a list.
Okay, so So number 4, obviously permit valuation, we kind of covered that under the IBC, so that we use the valuation data to establish our permit fees. Okay. Number 5, so that obviously has existed before. So what I did is I went in there and just made sure all those values are still current, snow load. We basically, at this elevation here, it's like 5 pounds per square foot. Above 5,000, we go to 10 pounds. And this is looking at the old, I think the maps were better in the older version of the code book, because you look at the 24, you can't even read the map. So it's just, but anyway, wind speed, we left it at 115 miles per hour. And then we got what seismic design category word B. I guess live loads. So a lot of those frost line, we have no frost line below 5,500 feet. So a termite is heavy, or winter design temperatures 18 to 20. So a lot of this was just a carry forward from what we had before. So I don't know if anyone has any comments on that.
Where's the ice dam required?
It is
Barrier?
in there, and ours says no, not.
Oh, okay, no, all right, there we go.
If I'm mistaken, isn't, your Vista's snow load
5 pounds.
in Cochise County?
What's that?
I think Cochise County is like 0 at
Yeah,
up to 5,000, and I think Sierra Vista is 5 pounds, 5,000 square feet, 5,000 feet elevation.
I don't know that I don't think in our design criteria, we adopted anything to do with any specific elevation. I think it was just the whole city.
Just 5 pounds
Yeah,
across the
5
board.
pounds, yeah.
So, but that makes it different than Cochise County.
Yes.
Is that going to get fixed in this?
Well, and what we did when we adopted the 15, there was like isobars or whatever you call, but the older map showed when they would go through 5,000 feet, it showed 10 pounds. We based it on what the actual map showed. If you look in the IRC, it's ridiculous. Remember, Tim, we were looking at that? You can't even read the thing.
Right.
So it's based on what was taken from the IRC that showed 10 pounds at 5,000 feet, and we clearly have areas, around Bisbee, right? I mean, there's,
Yeah.
so there's no question about it. So that's based on what we were finding in the IRC.
And we're not that far below.
Yeah, we're not that far below, so.
Well,
I guess we could interpolate.
pretty sure there's a range of elevations where Sierra Vista has a snow load, the county doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, so below, basically that's saying that if you're below 4,600, it's 0.
right. But
So
Sierra Vista, it's 5 pounds.
5 pounds, and that we're
Because
consistent with.
we're right on the cusp of those elevations, depending on where you're standing, at any given point in the city. As we get closer to the mountains, obviously,
Right.
we're going up a few feet.
Okay, so you think Sierra Vista is close enough to the 5 pound limit?
Well-
That's why it's 5 pounds across the board. Because I mean, I've done things at Sierra Vista where we're 4,200, 4,300, but
In the words of
Sierra Vista.
Shirley Jackson, it's the way we've always done it. Yeah, that's all, that's all I know, Ray, is that we've always adopted the 5 pounds.
Okay.
Because we get, well, not so much anymore, but we used to get some snow.
Yeah,
It would stick for a few days.
5 pounds is not that much,
Not
but it always strikes me as odd that if I go 500 feet, now I'm in the county and there's no snow load, I go across the city limits line and all of a sudden it's.
Yeah,
5
well,
pounds.
and again, if that's what we're gonna adopt, this is what we're gonna adopt, I'm just,
I do remember 18 inches one year,
Wow, yeah.
and nobody could move except four-wheel drive. And I think they had to send trucks down from Bisbee to be able to clear the roads.
Okay.
Okay.
Paul,
Yes.
reading those maps, kind of like reading a FEMA map. When you go look at a FEMA map, where you're looking for, it's always, because of the scale of these maps and the FEMA panels, you can't tell anything really definitively. So I don't know. I would rely more on, as far as snow load, I would rely more on local people that deal with that and you know, to have,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's always right.
All right. Okay, so number 6, let's talk about exterior walls. Looks like I marked that as revised section by deleting text and tables and replacing with the following. So this was from the, I believe this came from the committee.
I think this is the best well-written explanation of those rules I've ever seen. Much better than what's in the code with the drawings and whatnot and text.
And then there are the exceptions to that. And then according to my notes, we did not, these were existing, right? As far as I can tell, if I addressed these correctly. So all the way down until we get to number 10, I think that was picked up. And of course, you know, that's sprinklers are, ARS addresses that, right? Can't make someone do it or can't prevent them from installing sprinklers, right?
To a
Yeah,
certain- to a
certain degree.
Unless you're dealing with needed fire flows.
Fire
and that's-
flows, yeah.
that appendixes are don't.
Right.
And then you can offer them alternatives or.
What is the city stance on that?
3,000?
I know we just put one in that house.
Yeah, yeah, I believe that it is 3,000.
I'm sure.
Because I think
John, yeah,
I
John.
think you sent me the ARS code on that,
Well, prior to
It's 3,000 or 3,600.
3,600, I think.
3,600.
That was in place for us, but when we adopted the 15 because of ARS, we struck that because of what the language says about residential
Yeah.
structures, right?
So my recollection when Paul Semino went through this, I believe it was with Fire Pillar, they had adopted the appendix in the fire code,
Mhm.
which basically deals with fire flow and square footage and all that good stuff.
So read it.
So we were able to go ahead and enforce that in the case, case of that. And we did that. We did it to Mark Foster too. So we'll go back.
I've always known we do it. I just was curious if there was an ARS that stated it prohibited.
Yeah, well, it's,
Enforce it.
again, it's
Yeah.
part of the appendix, I believe it's B in the fire code. Yeah. I don't got the whole thing memorized either. Yeah, check out appendix B. I believe it's where it is.
Thank you.
And I think it says something about if the jurisdiction had adopted a fire sprinkler ordinance before, like
Right.
something in 2009 that, that's still in place, right? But it's not trumped if they already had something in place.
Right,
I think in
right.
2009, I think was the year, if I'm not mistaken.
Got it. Phil, are
Yeah.
you back down at Foster yet?
I have not.
Time, when you got some time.
Sure.
Introduce yourself.
Okay.
And they'll be glad to talk to you about that stuff.
Awesome.
It is B.
What's that?
It's appendix B.
Okay.
I'll check that out. I got it written down. Cool.
Okay, so again, on that, like 12, deleting that section entirety, that came from the joint committee.
When we want to wire.
What's up?
Now, number 13, this one I definitely cannot pass this without calling this one out because this is, and Philip, this will be probably of interest to you, number 13. So obviously vapor retarders. So obviously our dry climate, I guess the building code has required it. It's not been enforced. I'll say that, right?
Didn't it used to say where the building official found the reason, blah,
Yeah.
blah? Yeah.
So the committee came up with, so basically, okay, it's not required if it's designed by a registered design professional based on soil conditions. So what it's doing is, if there were ever a situation, well, the building official said, I don't need one, and then something happens, this is kind of putting the liability on the design professional. So this is an amendment. So I don't know what the thoughts are on
This is
that.
referring to under.
Yeah. So the vape, so
So just give you a little history on what we've experienced with it. We've done a lot of exposed concrete slabs, so we've seen where there is moisture issues coming through the slabs. And out of probably 50 or 60 homes we've built with exposed concrete floors, I've had 2 that have had issues with moisture coming up through. My sealer turns white on it, and I end up tiling the house, which is an expense to me.
Ouch.
So that was going on for a while. We started doing research. We're like, okay, what is causing it? How do we eliminate it? And what was happening is, long story short, air conditioning, when it gets turned on in the building, it creates a vacuum for moisture. It pulls it from under the slab. So it really depends on the location, and there's no rhyme or reason for the locations. We had one up in Stump Canyon on the side of the mountain that I lost the slab on the floor for that.
Right over here. The juvenile, it was the court building. Copper tiles.
Yeah, so it's just a
Yeah.
random, you can't tell where it's gonna be.
No.
So we started in all of our slabs, we started doing a 6 mil black plastic under our AB.
Under the AB.
And we've tried it the way a lot of your engineers draw it, where it's directly under your concrete
Curl.
and it cracks from one end to the other. I just did it 6 months ago. I tried it on a spec home, and Tim, you've been by, you've probably seen, it's the worst crack slab I've ever seen in my life. And I had rebar 24 on center. Wow. I mean, it was solid, 5-inch slab, like it's a good slab. Whole thing is cracked from one end to the other, and I'm having to tile it because of that. Wow. So I know Barbara, my business partner, she's had that same experience in the past in her homes where she put it directly under the slab. So I'm very reluctant to say we need to require it directly under the slab the way it's called out in here. But if you place it under 4 inches of AB,
Yeah. Same
Good.
thing happened over in Martin. I've never seen a curl so bad in my life.
yeah. And I talked to Harry at the plant about it, and he said, yeah, I said it's a terrible idea. Yeah. So.
Guess when it comes in that way, we need to maybe talk to the design professional and have that conversation.
I would have no problem requiring it under all slabs, but I would require it under
Under the
the base, 4-inch base.
the AB base, yeah, that base. All right.
And can you simply put that as a footnote so we don't forget, or can throw that recommendation out there? Question.
Yes, I'm making a notation on that, so.
I got a question for Philip.
Yes, sir.
How does your electrician handle the UFOR grounds and the footing if you have those on a job with the vapor retarder?
I would probably refer to, most of that.
Does the
What are
vapor,
you doing for me?
does the vapor retarder go down into the footer typically?
Typically, we don't. So,
Right.
and it depends on, that's a good question. So the type of slab is going to affect that.
So
I do a lot of footer and stem walls.
we went through that with Castle and Cook when they converted over to the PT. And yeah, they don't, well, number one, I think they discontinued the vapor retarder, but they definitely did not put, I think they may have it's either they just excluded it where the UFOR was connected to the 20-foot of rebar, or they just or the whole footing. I don't know. It's turned out.
So, I mean, I think you could do it like on a monolithic pour, like a raft slab or a post tension. I think you could require it under. It's kind of odd putting it down in the footers is what we run into.
Yeah,
Now I'm doing a huge house now.
but if they're cracking, I don't know that would be
Yeah.
a great idea.
We're doing a really big house up off of Loma Lane right now, and it has every wall in the house has an interior footer under it. every single one of them. And we're talking, 5,000 square foot house, it's just solid footers.
Is that shear? Or is that for brace panel or shear?
Different roofs. Every room has a different flat roof. So going through that one, they wanted to go with a Stego wrap vapor barrier under the slab. And that's been interesting. We ended up going in and pouring all the interior footers, and then we're placing our Stego wrap across the entire thing. And everywhere that our rebar, our verts come up through those footers to tie into the slab, we're having to tape around them and seal them. We did the whole slab that way. So I could see that working, but, on like a footer and stem wall, I guess if you poured the footers first, you could run that and then do your stem walls on top of it. So it's kind of a weird thought on my part, setting your concrete stem wall on top of vapor barrier and then on top of your footer. I haven't quite grasped that. Like, it seems a little weird to me.
Okay.
I don't know.
But on interior footers, there's no other way to do that. So it's like,
Speaking of concrete and footings, you're all aware that Matt Tawney died of a stroke at 65.
absolutely.
Most of us need to be aware.
Bob, did you have a comment?
Well, I was thinking, can't you just, or couldn't you just put the vapor barrier down underneath the AB, put it down, then the AB, and let it drape over the sidewall or interior sidewall of the footings, and you don't need to go across the bottom of the footing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a downside to that.
Would the moisture come up around the edge of your, right inside your exterior walls, because you've got your footings going to be in?
Yeah, it's not, it would take some research looking at that. I know that when we do stem walls, we take it and we wrap it up the inside of the stem walls to the top and then pour the slab. But running it down into the footer and then pouring that, having your stem wall, I mean, there's a chance moisture could come up through the footer and through the stem wall, but that's a long ways. Like, it's not just coming right through a 4-inch slab.
Right.
So, yeah. And I guess you could run it through the footer and pour on top of it, as long as you're compacted correctly underneath. As far as bearing, it isn't going to change that.
But that's what Bob's concerned about with the Uper.
So if you were doing that and your Uper wire came through it, technically you would want to seal around the Uper.
Oh, you would put the Uper underneath the,
Oh, I see what you're saying. So if you went under, it depends on how you do it. If you go under the footer, then it would be above it.
And need the contact mortars.
I
you
see what
need
you're
the
saying.
you also need that 3-inch clearance, so that would be kind of hard to.
It's a good thought.
Hey, Paul, just a thought, because I'm gonna have to leave at 4:30 and I know Mike, has to jet as well. Really good discussion. We might want to set a goal to like get through the resident, but I mean, we've got 30 pages to get through. I don't think we're gonna get through it all today. And nor should we rush it, when there's items to discuss. But we might need to break it up into 2 meetings. We might be able to get
For that.
we might be able to get through residential and maybe plumbing today. But then I think when we move on, we're gonna, there's a lot of details here still to go through.
Okay. So do you want to have a definite cutoff time then today? Like
It is 4.
Good suggestion, right?
Yeah, look, should we go for what, 4:30 then?
The meeting was scheduled till 4:30. I can stay till 4:30. Mike,
Okay.
if you need to go, we
Yeah.
won't use quorum. But I gotta go at 4:30.
Okay.
I would agree. I really want to look at some of these in more depth. It's hard to grasp them when you're just passing over quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the first time I've seen this. I haven't had any chance to really look at what these are.
I'd like to see another meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, well, let's finish and let's get through the residential then at least, right? And we can see where we're at, okay? And then those are probably gonna be the more lengthy ones, right? Probably IBC and the IRC are gonna probably be the longest sheets for, okay.
2 or 3 feet.
Okay, so number 14, roof structures. So this is new. 14 and 15 would be new. So those were taken from the code committee. So again, with the building staff looking at this, they felt like these are valid and we would include those as well. So. Any comments you want to keep just kind of dancing, or do you guys want to? Any comments? I'll certainly. But like I said, if there would be opportunities, certainly. Like Philip, if you're interested in looking at some of this in detail, then
Yeah, we can go back.
we can go back.
I'm gonna need to, there's just too
Okay,
much.
there's too much stuff. Okay. And I think looking here, like 16 and 17, those were. They did exist in our current local amendments along with 18. Looks like 19. When we hit 19, those were added because of the microburst effects. So that's new. So I'll. And then looks like 20. Okay, yeah, you can see all of that. And some of this, I think, we also found this in the IBC as well. So some of this you're going to find both in the IRC as well as the IBC.
You'll excuse me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mike. All right, so I'll start talking on this. So number 20, this was added, condensate disposal. That was picked up, that wasn't addressed. So it was felt like, hey, there's some good guidelines for how to handle the condensate.
So I have a question on this
Mhm.
one, because a lot of times geotech reports for this area will say, don't dump condensate or roof drains
Right.
right next to the slab because we have expansive soils
Right.
here. So this seems to be a little bit contrary to that, basically saying as long as you don't have surface runoff, you're good to go.
So you would definitely you would recommend some adjustments.
Usually in geotech reports, it says to put it a certain distance away from the slab.
And I would agree with that. I just don't know how you would achieve it without it
Right.
being very costly.
Yeah.
But you can't go underground with it. It has to be daylighted.
We'll do splash blocks to handle that. I mean, if it's something like a gutter, instead of just dumping on the ground, and you take a splash block, it takes it out 2 feet.
I mean, granted, people can always just remove the splash.
No, yeah.
But, I mean,
And you can dump it into a tailpiece if you get close enough, the design allows, it can be dumped into the tailpiece. But of course, your secondary has to be where it can be observed in the shower.
yeah,
I did it in the apartments over there by Cochise College. The overflow is right in the middle of the shower.
I don't know, it might just be something that requires a little bit more research. I just know that just about every geotech report I have looked at for this area says, don't do this.
That's
Yeah.
Well, I can understand a little bit what they're referring to, because
Yeah.
I own several older homes that are, built 60s, 70s-ish. In any of those brick houses that you go and walk in, you'll always find one wall of the house that's settled. There's cracks in the floor. And I can almost promise you every time you go outside, they've got a drip system along that edge.
I've seen the condensate and, just destroy concrete.
It does.
It's, yeah.
So I'll asterisk this one, right, Dan, for,
That's a tough one.
okay. All right. Number 21, so at chapter 11, energy efficient, so we're basically, this is what we've had where we're basically going to revert to the 2012 energy code, chapter 4 of the energy code. Okay, that's kind of where we're at right now, but probably next time we'll let Philip, because he put a lot of research into doing the comparison and contrast
There's some
between
printout here, you guys are welcome today,
Yeah.
just the comparison of 2012 versus 2024.
I printed one off.
So we'll catch that when we get to the energy code discussion, but number 22, that was a new section on required sprinkler locations, and we made sprinklers not required within dwelling units per ARS. This serves as a guide for voluntary installation and allow fire separation reduction. So again, just being mindful of what ARS states, but I'm sure Billy will probably hear from you, when we do get to the fire code part, right? So we can have that discussion.
Essentially amendments that
Okay.
have been working.
All right, we'll take a look. All right, so number 23, number 24, those have been in place for some time. We still feel like they're valid. Any thoughts on that, Mose, as far as? Okay.
23 can be a little confusing as to what this meant by surface mounted. Like some people think it has to be on the house rather than on an H-frame or something. But all it's really saying is it cannot be inset into the wall.
What
And
do you think about that one, Bob?
What's that? What's
Number
that?
23.
Number 23.
I thought
Bob.
I thought I convinced you guys to get rid of that, but evidently not. That's an old hangover from the city of Sierra Vista by somebody who used to work there, I think, is what I was told. But anyway,
So, were we supposed to obstruct that one?
No,
Yeah.
well, as far as I'm concerned, no, because the ones that I've seen, they're rotted out. Mose, why don't you, could you address that? The recessed box?
Sometimes I see with that there's for some part of the city, yes, they have the recessed panels with the recessed rider.
Yeah.
Yes, they are giving so much trouble. And I can always notice when I replace those things, I can always see the water leak around
Yeah.
it and the
Well,
very rocky.
They never flashed it properly,
Right.
they just put a hole in the wall and stuck a box in there.
so I'm thinking the verbiage should say, risers, disconnecting means and risers shall not be inset, but shall be surface mounted, just to give clarification that we're not talking about on the H-frame or something.
Inset.
Shall not be inset, but shall be surface mounted.
And that's meaning you can't even recess into the foam, correct? You have to have foam behind it.
Well, we've always required that. Have
Hole
you
behind it? No.
really?
If you got your paper bearing
Well,
behind it.
you put the OSB up, you put your paper or your building paper and you go as close to the structure of the panel as you can, because with that foam behind it, you've got the possibility of, a little bit of pressure, you squash that foam and now you've got a rocking surface.
Because that's what if you're just saying surface, what are we talking about? That's what I was getting to. Is it on the surface of the finished wall? which is stuccoed and then painted, or is it?
No, we wouldn't, yeah, I don't think we want, certainly wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
The way we're doing it, I think is exactly what.
The county requires foam behind it,
Oh, okay.
We have, yeah.
so that's why I was bringing that.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
So
You know,
the riser
2023 is assuming that you're gonna have an all-in-one type residential service, which is not required. You do need a service and you do need a disconnect.
Right,
So the way this reads is
it's the service disconnect.
just a service disconnect on the riser.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
On the golf course, you've worked on those with the panels inside the garage. You got a disconnect on the outside, the panels in the garage, so that would be, that kind of wouldn't be addressed here.
yes, so, but now I think SSAC has put that, their own regulation, state does as well, so.
Yeah, okay.
Disconnect should be always outside.
Always outside, yeah, definitely.
Is that something we want to give any thought to, Paul, at all about the foam behind it? Should we, what are your
That's,
thoughts?
yeah, I mean, that's what Bruce is saying. I've never seen one rocking, but
Well, I mean, for the same reason that when we attach a ledger, we make you cut back the stucco and,
Right.
and put that ledger on the actual structural member. It's just for, yeah, it's just for a solid base.
Maybe let's give that some thought,
Okay.
further discussion.
I'll make an answer on that, okay. All right, so number 24, let me, okay, we're closing in on that. So it looks like 25 was already in place there. We did add 26.
can you go back up one?
Like number 24, like,
Yeah, let me,
You guys, in the county must see that more than I.
what's that?
Adobe.
Adobe.
Oh,
I remember designing a couple with Andrew Gray many years ago. Haven't seen one since.
we're looking, he was looking at 24.
Okay.
Out of that. So I guess the code says what, 100 amp or whatever the load is, right? You
It
guys,
says- well, it says both. It says 100 amp, but it goes without saying, but it does say it actually in the code. You have to have enough capacity for, for the load. So if 100 is big enough, then that's all you need for a single family dwelling without any amendments. This changes it from 100 to 200. So, Bruce, I'm going to build a triplex. Do all three of them have to be 100 amp services?
Well, that says, according to that, are you asking according to the amendment?
Yeah, according to the amendment.
Triplex, you're talking about townhouse, right?
Well, a duplex, townhouse, or 3 units or more. Well,
Under the
actually,
IRC.
yeah. Well, the townhouse
Wait,
and the duplex,
I believe the way our amendment read, that each would be a 200, each dwelling would be a 200 amp panel.
well, they're all dwellings, but my question is, in the code is an apartment in a threeplex or more, is it referred to in the same rules for one family dwellings?
First off, let's not confuse apartments here. We're in the IRC, so we're talking about a townhome or a duplex or a single family residence. So in the case of a triplex, I'd have to read what the code says, Bob. I don't have that in front of me. But according to our local amendment in the city, each of those units would have a 200 amp panel.
Yeah, okay.
Which is lining up with the SSD series.
Right. Now, in an apartment, no, that's not the case.
They don't offer one,
No, they don't.
so that it's irrelevant.
Right.
125.
No, not for the new construction.
No. Well, not for residential, no.
Right.
Right.
So this language is a little wrong here. The ungrounded conductor shall not be less than 200 amps. That, you can go to 83%. I mean, if you do the 200 amps, then it's more than a 2-aught copper. Because I think it's 2-aught copper is like 83% of 200 amps. Right, Mose?
Well, that's not what they're saying. It can't be less than 200 amps, so you're gonna have to come
Right.
up with a bigger conductor.
But the code says it only needs to be 83% of the 200 amp rating of the panel.
Right.
So
I know,
the
but
ungrounded conductor, they're saying that the ungrounded conductor's gotta be bigger than really what's required.
I see what you're saying there, yeah. The rating of the ungrounded conductor shall be not less than 200 amps.
Right.
And that would be.
But in the other code, it's saying 80% of 200 amps.
Yeah, so this would be like a 3-aught wire or something, copper.
Yeah, instead of 2
Instead of 2-aught, yeah. So I think that needs to be,
It's a good point.
Good one.
Oh,
You want Moses? His is better.
It's got pictures in it.
Oh, right. Touche.
But it does have pictures.
Was that 310, right?
Oh, you're talking about the.
Capacity.
yeah.
So it's 200 amps, we're talking 90-degree column copper.
Yes, that's the.
So 200, to get to 200 amps, you're talking about a one-off.
Required.
Yeah.
So at
83% roll for the 1 month.
so what's SSBC putting in?
They are requiring at least 3 amp,
Yeah.
if it's copper,
Wow.
yes.
Well,
If it's
3 amp,
aluminum,
3 out for a 200 amp service. For
yeah,
residential, but see, that's because of load diversity. They know you don't need a conductor bigger than that. So,
By the way, do we really need that?
You're kind of held to what your service providers are.
Yeah, because we cannot do anything
Right.
outside of their rule.
It's their playground.
Yeah,
I mean, we're not gonna.
we are not running news wires.
Right.
You have no control over it, so it's irrelevant.
So just, you might strike it. Okay, that makes sense.
That is, 3602, we are talking about service, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Ungrounded.
Okay. For discussion. Okay. All right. I want to be mindful because we don't want to lose our vice chair has to adjourn. A few more minutes, just, so any thoughts on number 26? Is that's an addition, so.
well, the
Yeah,
UF cable is quite a bit tougher than regular NM, so it doesn't.
This one, after about 20 years, yeah, there's the expansion and everything. They start to break even the UF cable. There's so many of them, so I'm not sure.
I just think you ought to get rid of it.
Yeah,
But
because so many people just use the UF cable through the walls, and later on, I find out they are starting to short out. And that's not because somebody touched it or tampered it, it's just it works like that.
Okay.
Here, no.
Okay, so scratch, okay. Number 27, we'll adopt the appendix BB for tiny homes. Currently, we have done appendix Q under the 2018. This cleans it up, so it falls right under. And then real quick, Moj, you'll probably appreciate this one. I was at an ASBO event this week in Prescott. Island and peninsula outlets, receptacles. The 24 code said it's kind of like, well, if you do it, fine, but you also have to make provisions real quick here. Provisions shall be provided at the island or peninsula for future additions of a receptacle outlet to serve the island.
Yes.
Yeah, Mom showed me a picture.
Yeah. But what they're saying is that the jurisdictions at this, anyway, they're saying they're scratching that and they're going to go back to the 18, which says one receptacle per island.
Oh, I see.
So-
So they removed which it should be facing for the using space.
Yeah.
That
So-
addition,
So we're good with that one, right?
So we're
Now,
not popping up.
not popping up.
Not popping up.
Can go to the side, but yes, we have to make sure that's within a foot from the countertop because
A foot from the countertop,
we did.
within a foot, right?
Yeah,
okay.
if it's going lower than that, yes, I can see the cord is stretching out because
Yeah,
appliances are required to have the 2 feet cord at least. I think it cannot be lower than that. So if it's 18 inches, that puts the appliance right next to the corner. So
Also,
that's why they make extension cords, motors. Fire's gonna kill me.
Yesterday, all these things too.
Yeah, we talked about that. Grandma with an extension cord. Yeah.
so Moses, is that in the NEC as well? I mean, is there language that you just were referring to?
no, actually NEC, the prior NEC is requiring 8 inches by rendering from the surface. But we have to raise it up. Because 18, if we put it at 18,
You can't move the appliance.
You can't move the appliance.
That's right.
also the overhang can't be more than 6.
right, that overhang.
Okay.
And what is that? And because code is saying it should be within 18, some people have problem with if it doesn't mean the bottom of the receptacle or center or top. So yeah.
I would think it'd be to the lowest receptacle.
Okay. Okay, so we can add that. We'll come up with the language so it'll appear next time.
Just one thing.
Okay, one thing.
25.
Okay, 25, okay.
I like that, but in the case if somebody just completely break the U4, can we get some kind of exception for it? Otherwise, I have to go into.
As far as that one, Bob and I, we got rid of that in Sierra Vista, didn't we, Bob?
You're talking about number 20, about number 25?
Yeah,
Yeah, because the code provides for if you got up to 2 circuits, you don't need a U for type ground.
yeah, you can run it from the panel.
Yeah.
So, I would say, because, you know, how many people don't put it in,
Right.
you know? If they do put it in later, then.
But it says that all outbuildings should have a grounding electrical
Grounding,
system.
but we are forcing everybody to use the U for grounding. But this is a good idea because when I measure the impedance of the grounding,
Oh, it's no good.
U4
U
gives me like two ohms, while ground rod, even 2 of them separated so far, they are giving me over 100.
But here's the deal, Mose. The U for ground seems like it's a good deal, and they do perform better than ground rods and things like that on average.
Right.
But you know, it's all predicated, especially if there's no metallic pass in between the two structures in the ground. Now, you can pretty much assume that. You can determine that in a new build. But, you know, if you have a water pipe running between the house and a detached accessory building, and it's metallic, you can't use the UFR. Okay?
Well, it depends on the distance, because if that pipe is 6 feet away, we can do that.
Well, now you're combining two different parts of the code that it doesn't say anything about being 6 feet away. That's where
6 feet is, what's that, ground electron should be at least 6 feet away from each other. That's the code, so, yeah, even if there is a metallic, yeah, that's.
that's
Bob,
in the,
Bob, we're gonna lose the vice chair. We're gonna have to adjourn the meeting.
right.
Okay, a motion to continue, April 30th or May 7th, 2 weeks or 3 weeks?
Not available on May 7th. That
I'm
doesn't
not
mean-
available on the 30th.
It doesn't mean the group can't.
Oh,
meet
May?
without me,
Right,
but
yeah.
May 30th?
April 30th or May 7th?
I'll be.
I think it's probably more important that Bruce is here.
I don't know, we can always send it, you know? Yes, of course, yeah, then like, no, we're usually done by 3.
I'm available anytime in the afternoon on the 30th, but I'm
available on 30th.
Okay.
Both days.
Okay, so if you want to make a motion to, someone make a motion to continue the meeting to April 30th?
there.
So move.
So moved, Billy.
Someone make the motion, not me, but yeah.
Repeated whatever motion. We'll make a motion that we, continue the meeting on the 30th of April.
There's a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Same time, 3 p.m.
Yes.
And you'll send out these.
Yeah, I'll send out.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to stop the
All
recording.
right. You're adjourned.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.